Are you ready? Stand by.
Hey everybody, I'm Dave Hartman, and welcome to The Three Gun Show, the world's largest three-gun podcast. This is episode 244, where special guest Adam Maxwell and I break down our experience at the North American Sniper Championship. This was a really fun experience and something completely outside of my comfort zone as a long-range match, which I've never done before, so this is my first time. Also, borrowed gun, borrowed ammo, etc. I really came with nothing of my own except for my clothes. But it was an exciting match, and it definitely has piqued my interest in long-range shooting. So we'll get into the backstory on the match and why we shot it in the podcast here, so just sit tight if you're a bit confused as to why a couple of three-gunners went to a police and sniper match in the first place. Also, in the podcast, we are driving as we recorded it, so if you hear road noise or pauses while we're avoiding traffic, just bear with us because we do end up finishing all our thoughts. Before we get started, I hope you enjoyed last week's April Fool's podcast. That's right. The 140-yard zero was just a hasty zero that Ruben and I got when shooting one day, and we spun it into a fun episode for April Fool's. April 1st is always, kind of a fun day because growing up, that was my brother's birthday. And I always tried to get him every year when I was a little guy. But he's like hyper aware of April Fool's jokes, as you can probably imagine. So I enjoy April Fool's. April Fool's is also the anniversary of the podcast. So it's kind of fun to do something like that. And Ruben and Adam were down to record it. So that's why we did. Hope you didn't get too deep into changing your holds before you figured out the joke, but we just couldn't resist. Also, if you like the show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button in iTunes or Google Play, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast content, and comment on the show here. Let us know what you think of long range matches, of trying something new. Is that something that you're going to do in the future? Do you have anything outside of the ordinary or outside of your comfort zone planned? And, all right, yeah. Now, enjoy this recap of the North American Sniper Championship with my sniping teammate, Adam Maxwell. Adam.
Dave.
Partner. Welcome back to the show.
Spotter.
Yeah, buddy. So, North American Sniper Championship. Let's, do you want to do the ad-libs? North American Sniper Championship is in the books.
Yeah, man.
Really want to thank
all my sponsors.
My gear ran great. Thanks to the Hornady ELD that I was able to shoot.
My PWS rifle and dead air suppressor with ADM scope mount that I torqued with my Vortex torque wrench.
There you go. So,
and hyperfire trigger.
So, all kidding aside, we just shot the North American Sniper Championship, and this is kind of interesting. So, let's fill the audience in on what the match is and how we got invited to it.
Okay, so I'll try to keep a long story short.
Yeah.
But
give us the beats.
As a lot of the listeners know, I'm in the military law enforcement sales section or team of Vortex Optics, and we have a guy internally. A lot of people know Ruben on the three-gun side for Vortex sponsorship. Ruben's counterpart in the PRS side is a guy named Nick. Nick comes up to me one day in the middle of winter and basically said, hey, I'm like triple booked for this particular week in April. This match, this North American Sniper Challenge, is all
championship.
Championship is all military law enforcement guys. Would you be interested in representing us there, as a vendor? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Like, those are your guys.
Yeah, I'm down to party. And so going down, so I'll transfer his email conversation over to me. I started talking to Jeremy about, all the logistics of being a sponsor and whatnot. And then he starts putting the heat on for me to shoot. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'll try, but I've never shot a precision match before. So, I don't really know what I'm doing. I shoot 3-gun, but I don't really. It's not my game, so like I would be learning. Oh yeah, that's fine. No, we really want sponsors to shoot with the guys, which is actually a
really good idea.
Yeah, which is actually really good. And his idea is right on point because you get a lot more contact with the guys being on a squad than you do setting up a vendor table and waiting for them to walk by when they're bored.
Well, and the other thing is we just came off the Magpul Texas 3-gun championship. And Dwayne Liptak from Magpul, the executive vice president, was shooting the match. And I remember the first time I saw him shooting the match, actually I was on a squad with him now I think about it, but I thought, wow, that's freaking cool that he's out there doing the things that I do. Like, it makes you connect more with that company, right?
Yeah, and definitely felt vulnerable a little bit because we are somewhat fish out of water here because there's definitely nuance to this game.
Right. Well, how did I get wrangled into this?
So we go down the rabbit hole of, okay, well, I'll shoot, and he's like, well, it's a team event, so you need another guy. And I was like, well, okay, everybody internally is already spread thin because hence the reason I'm going. So my first thought is, who better than one David Hartman to come with me, and then we can, content for the podcast. So I was like, man, yeah. I think, I was like, hey, Dave, do you want to do new and interesting content for your show?
And I was like, I love new and interesting content for the show, but I don't have a 308.
Yeah.
Or a 6.5.
Yep.
I will buy one. I think that is what my plan was. Like, yeah, I'll totally build one.
Yeah. How'd that go?
It did not.
Yeah. So.
Well, because you said like, oh, we got loaners or demo rifles or whatever.
Yeah, we got tons of guns, but as is typical, this time of year, super busy, so it gets down to the wire, and the ones that I was planning on using weren't available, and so all of a sudden it's like, well, what is available, and what scopes can I put on it? So we pulled some 3-18 by 50 Razor Gen 2s,
which were recommended to us by a friend.
Yeah. So we pulled them out of the demo inventory, slapped them on. We had one JP LRP07. We had an ADM. I forget what they call their large.
I forget what their model is, but it's the heavy frame
308. So it's the large frame 308 ADM. And then, of course, I personally had a PWS 308. And I set that one up with a little bit different scope because we kind of got some early information that sometimes you want kind of like a long range and a recce combination.
And that's what we kind of thought it would be for a 2-gun. We thought it was going to be like a sniper team situation, right? Where you've got one guy that's like actually sniping and the other dude is like Overwatch for the sniper, right?
Yeah.
And so we figured it would be like one rifle would be a 5.56, one rifle would be like a 6.5, and then we ended up with both having 308s.
Yep. So, yeah, we kind of weren't really clear on what we needed, so we just kind of brought a lot of stuff. We have our 3-gun rifles from Texas 3-gun championship. I had one 308 with a lower, 10-power scope, and then I had a couple, 3-18 set up, and we were going to kind of play it by ear as to what we used. But so we got some rifles that we had approximate data on, and then just showed up to the match, and when we got there, they kind of said, all right, go that way. And so we went that way and started getting briefed on stages and flinging bullets.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. We got buddied up with someone on our squad right when we were there. It turns out he was like 3rd or 4th in the match or something like that. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so let's back up just a little bit before that. So Texas 3-gun championship happens, and for me that was like 5 days of run around, getting content, helping with match things.
Straight media, no shooting.
Straight media, no shooting. And then I did the little talk before the prize table, announced the top winners of all the divisions, and then stepped off stage, jumped in my truck, went home, changed my clothes real quick, unpacked my suitcase, repacked my suitcase, uploaded some pictures for Garrison at Texas 3-gun championship to use for content, and by that time you had showed up at my house because you'd done the prize table walk. Mm-hmm. And then we just drove straight to Jackson, Tennessee
Yep.
which was a 12-hour drive?
I think it was 10 hours.
10-hour drive.
But we didn't start till 5.
Right. And so we got in to our hotel like 4 minutes before 5 a.m.
Pretty much.
on Monday morning.
Yeah.
And then I think we got an hour and a half of sleep.
Yep.
Got an hour and a half of sleep, and then we went to the Sniper Championship. And I guess they must have known, like, right off, or told dudes on our squad or something, because we started getting a little grief for being tired right away.
Yeah, a little bit, because they had like a registration and a sign-in on Sunday night.
Right.
And so we missed that. We told them we were rolling in hot on Monday. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. But, yeah, we pretty much showed up. There's a parking lot full of unmarked black and whites.
Oh, my God. Like, so I call them narc cars, like from back in the day when I was a kid, when, you're 16 and you're pointing out cops to your buddies as you're driving.
Yep.
Like, narc car. But, oh, my God, I have never seen, like, first of all, there was no foreign cars there whatsoever, not even like a Toyota pickup. But I've never seen a bigger collection of every type of narc car that Ford, GM, and Chrysler offer.
Yes.
Like, there was Explorers, Durangos, Tahoes, Ram pickups, Silverados, Ford F-150s. There was Crown Vics. There was Dodge Chargers. I mean, like, everything.
Yep.
It was crazy and also kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because you're like, all right, now I know what to look for.
Yeah,
like,
now we're here with the cool kids.
Just look at the license plates. Like, okay, Mississippi. Yeah, they've got a lot of pickup trucks.
Yep, Mississippi, Tennessee. Who else? Dude, it was pretty much Mississippi and Tennessee.
There was some Texas license plates. Not very many.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the North American Sniper Championship, and apparently it's growing bigger and bigger every year. But it's almost like a border war of the South right now.
It's hosted by the Mississippi Tactical Operators Association.
Right.
Which officers.
Yeah.
For those not familiar, there's chapters of that organization in pretty much every state or every 3-state area.
Is that right?
Yeah. And then there's a national conference, NTOA, which is the umbrella over all of them. So
it is officers, right?
I believe it.
Pretty sure that's what it said.
I believe it's operators, but
is it operators?
It's the SWAT side of things.
Okay. Well, anyway, so and then we had a bunch of teams from California. There's a couple Army teams.
Yep, San Diego sends a lot of teams. Traditionally wins it. I think there's 1 or 2 Army teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it was at K&M Precision Training, which is, like, right now is the nicest facility I've ever been to.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, if you could picture a pro level golf course,
yes,
for precision rifle shooting, like a country club. They even got the little pond in the front that you're not supposed to swim or fish in, but for some reason they have a dock there.
And they've got like bunkhouses, instructor houses, like a clubhouse area where the receptions and gatherings and instruction happen, classroom areas.
Yep. Crushed rock on all the trails.
Rock. So much damn crushed rock.
Yes.
And movers at lateral side-to-side movers at 150, 300, and 500 yards on one range. I think that other range, the long range area we were at with the old playground stuff, that was like, what, 1,200 yards? 13?
Yeah, I think they had an 1,100 yard range, a 1,200 yard range, one they called the 750, and then one they called the unknown distance range, which I think went out to 750.
Yeah,
or 520.
Well, we shot
520 because that's where the bus was.
No, but on the left of that.
Oh yeah, that goes.
That was the unknown distance.
The
bus with the where we shot was the 520.
Yeah.
But then, if you go left, if you just look left, there's like a cut in the forest, and that one was the one that went out to 7-something.
For those of you keeping score at home, they had a lot of places for which to shoot a long way,
and they also had like small bays where you could go shoot pistols and things like that.
Yeah, but it was
they had a pistol mover there too.
Yeah, but it was all kind of webbed together, so it wasn't like square, like it was just a lane.
Yeah.
It had like lanes that kind of went, 5 o'clock to 11. If you're just looking at the property, they kind of crisscrossed the property. They didn't all run the same way.
And very clever use of all their property.
Yes.
And then What was the other? Oh, the other thing is like all their shooting positions had really interesting things there, like stacked Connex boxes with holes cut in the sides of various shapes.
Yep.
So you could get like goofy positions. They had these big concrete
like sewage pipes.
conduit. Yeah, I was going to call them conduit pipes, but yeah, they're the sewage pipes, the culvert pipes that go under roads on the side.
Buses.
They had a bunch of those of varying diameters that you could shoot through. They had a bus to shoot from and a bus to shoot at.
Yep.
For hostage targets. They
Cars.
had police car. They had a
platform.
What's
cargo net?
What's that thing? The big, huge military truck.
Oh, a deuce and a half?
Deuce and a half. They had a deuce and a half. A deer blind.
Yeah, they had a deer blind because I don't know if that was for training or for reals.
Yeah,
probably for reals.
You can never tell. And then they also had like the plastic jersey barriers for so like basically anything that law enforcement or military in an urban environment would have to encounter. They had those things there for them to learn how to shoot with and on and from.
Yep.
It was really, really slick.
Yeah, if you could picture the ideal place to take a group to learn how to shoot long range.
Yeah.
Tactical long range. This is what you pictured in your head is what this place was.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was absolutely incredible facility, and like I've been to a lot of firearms ranges, and each time I go to one, I'm like, wow, this is the nicest place I've ever been, and then one just like one ups that one each time.
Yeah,
to where, excuse me, now I've probably got like top 3, top 4, top 5, or something like that, but. There's so many amazing places around, but damn, they are never near anything.
Except military bases.
Yeah, Max pointed that out. He's like, yeah, there's probably a military base within helicopter range of this place, and then sure enough, like 2 out of the 3 days, there was tons of helicopters flying overhead.
Yeah, I always find that as they get closer to a major military installation, the ranges tend to get nicer. And tend to be built with government money.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figure. It's like they have like some government contracts, and then they're able to have that nice of a place because like a lot of those buildings look brand new construction. I mean, maybe not even a year old, or they're just super well maintained.
Yep.
But then the crushed gravel looked like it was freshly laid, like last week, because it still had that powder on there. And then no driving on the grass. No driving on the grass. So that's the place where we're at. And like Adam said, when we got there, we were buddied up with a guy from San Diego, and he's like, turned out, super, super nice dude, and just like, yeah, you guys can hang out with me, follow me. And I feel like 90% of the time I had no clue what I was doing or should be doing at that time for the entire first day. And then like the second day I kind of got into like, okay, this is like what we're supposed to be doing. And then by the third day, it was like, okay, yeah, I got this.
Yep.
I know where I'm supposed to stand. I know where I'm supposed to point my gun.
Wasn't super nervous to go first.
Yeah. Yeah, especially the last stage, or not the last stage, second to the last stage. It was like, whatever.
It's like, yeah, we know the distances. We know where they are.
Yep.
You know how much time you have.
Adam's like, that was the other thing is they gave you distances of the targets you were supposed to engage, and they gave you the correct distances.
Yes.
It wasn't like a 3-gun match where they're like, oh, the 370-yard target, which is like really 398 yards away.
Yeah.
So there was no effing with you kind of thing. And the other thing was like, although these dudes were like super alpha guys from their department, right? They were friendly with each other and super competitive, but not to the point of like, temper tantrum, or at least I didn't see it on our squad, temper tantrums or anything like that. It was like a relaxed, more a camaraderie type thing where they're competing within the competition, but then as soon as the guns go up, it's, laughing and joking and having fun with each other,
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say, yeah, they were pretty, like even in 3-gun, like when they get ready to go, like people's like, they need to go into their space and get, in tents and whatnot. Like, none of that happens.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, oh, it's our turn? All right.
Yeah. And that was the other thing is because we're from the South, there was a lot of are at, and just like super relaxed dudes.
Yeah.
Like everything you imagine about the South, right?
Yeah.
A lot of tobacco chewing.
It's like, oh, man, we suck. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, ding,
Just-
ding, ding.
Knocking it out.
Yeah, but it was fun. Like I really enjoyed the atmosphere, and it was cool being amongst people that are completely different than us that we shouldn't be hanging out with,
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily like you wouldn't have a beer with them, on a Sunday barbecue or something like that. But just like this is for law enforcement and military. Neither you or I are law enforcement and military, so this is not a club in which we normally hang.
Yeah. I would say, I think, if I remember correctly, this is the first year that they allowed and encouraged vendors to compete.
Yeah.
Like before, you had to be. They were really only interested in having teams from agencies.
And I think we were the only ones that were competing as vendors.
We were the only vendors that took them up on the opportunity to compete, which was I was really glad we did. If we would have came down and not participated, I think I would have been like, it's kind of a lame waste of a trip.
I think two things. I think we would have been bored as shit,
Mm-hmm.
and then two, like I don't think we would have created like as strong of friendships with the competitors.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So
Which, as an extension of your job at Vortex Optics, is what the ultimate goal was, right?
Yep. If I like to say we're a relationships-based company, and so when we engaged in the event in this way, we were allowed to make those personal connections that we treasure, whether they come out as a sale or a service to the customer or not. We want to have relationships with those people and engage them in the space so that hopefully someday they are customers if they aren't already.
Yeah, and it was kind of exciting to be able to chat with people about their wants and needs. We had Vortex spotting scopes and Vortex binos on every stage, and we got to show them the UH-1. They got to shoot that on like a CZ Scorpion on one of the two-gun stages.
Yep.
We got to show them some slide ride dots for like a pistol that you brought out.
Yep.
We had a bunch of you did a dealer training on the way to Texas 3 Gun, so we had a bunch of guns there.
Yes.
With all various type of Vortex 1X and low power or variable optics on them.
Yep.
All stuff that's like right up their alley.
Yeah, and the most popular one was probably the Fury rangefinder binocular.
Yeah.
That got more interest than anything, I think.
I am so surprised, like no matter whose hands I put that into, they just get totally pumped. Like there was one guy on the very last stage of the day, he asked, hey, do you have some binos I can borrow? I'm like, well, sure, of course I do. So I handed him the Furies, and he's like, oh man, these are really great. What distance are the targets? And I was like, well, press that little button right there. You will find out.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was completely blown away by that.
Yeah. Those things, they kind of outdid themselves on those things. 5,000-yard rangefinder in a binocular.
Yeah.
That that connects with a lot of people in a lot of different applications.
Well, and talking to these guys, they're like, well, now I don't have to have a spotting scope and a rangefinder. I can just have these binoculars and knock it out right there.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So that worked out pretty well. But so let's talk about the shooting.
Okay.
How about that?
How about that?
So okay, we got the new guy Mercy call on our first stage, and they let us go last.
Yeah. Yep. Which was a fairly straightforward stage. It was definitely one to get started on.
Yeah. It was like we had to climb up a staircase to a Connex, and then they had like simulated rooftops, which were basically just like 45-degree right, 45-degree left, and 45-degree front that were covered in carpet.
Yep.
And if you shoot 3-gun, you've shot off of rooftops many times before. So Adam and I saw that, and we were like,
well, yeah,
got this.
And we were definitely comfortable shooting 300 and 400-yard targets.
Yeah, exactly. 300, 400-yard targets.
Full IPSC.
Back it off to like 4 power.
Yeah.
And, because I was shooting a first focal plane scope at 3-18. So, yeah, anywhere I had it was perfect. No wind, so just hold it in the center. Of course, mine was like, kapow.
bong.
But then, so the sideways roofs, you had to shoot like one of your partners one way, one partner the other way. So AMAX is lefty.
Yep.
That worked out perfect for us.
Yep.
So that was like a 6-round or 8-round stage. All the stages were really low round count.
Yeah, so it was
by
like
3-gun standards.
I think it was 4 rounds apiece. So
Yeah.
there's one hit each target from 2 positions.
That's what it was. Yeah, and so then that's when we learned that we need to not shoot at the same time because they can't call double hits, or it's more difficult to call double hits.
Which was a concept that we were really dense about.
Yeah, it took us
Right up until the end, we were shooting both at the same time.
exactly. Yeah, but it's weird because like you're trying to control your breathing and your heartbeat and your movement, and then you got to go me.
Yeah, it's like
I shoot now.
It's like I'm ready. He's not shooting. Okay, maybe I'll shoot first. And that's about the time that Dave thought the same thing.
Exactly. Kapow. I was like, damn it. But yeah, it worked out okay. So that was our first one. And then what was the second one?
The second one was support side shoulder.
Yes.
We had to shoot 5 to 750 yards.
This stage was
weak
called
shoulder.
the other strong hand.
Yeah.
And so you had to shoot so weak shoulder, weak eye, but you were allowed to use your strong hand trigger finger, which I tried that and it did not work. Oh, I should also mention I didn't have a bipod. Which seems like the most basic thing you need as a sniper.
Yeah, so I realized this and ordered another bipod to pick up at Brownells on my way down. I actually space cadetted myself and ended up making 2 orders. So when I went to the counter at their retail store, which is awesome, by the way, and if you ever drive past, you should go in and
Absolutely stop
at
there.
Brownells.
Brownells is amazing.
I was like, hey, I have 2 will call orders to pick up, and I gave him my name. And she brings me this, oh, yeah. Like she knew, oh, yeah, you're the guy. Because they had been there for a couple days. And she brings this big tote box. I'm like, oh, yeah, it looks like all my stuff. And so, I took it. And then get, halfway across the country. And I was like, wait, I wonder if my whatever were in there. And I went and looked at, no, I only had 1 of the orders. And so the order that didn't get picked, that I didn't get, was the one with the other bipod in it.
Yep. So the whole weekend I was using a bag if I could, or stacking bags on top of each other, which I don't think you're supposed to do.
Well, I was. Well, they didn't stop you, but I was.
No,
fortunate
I mean,
enough,
I don't think is the proper way to do it. Is what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I was fortunate enough that enough of the guys at the office kind of like Mercy loaned me whatever bags they had, so I think we had a pretty good and diverse assortment of bags. Like we had some big puff pillows. We had some little ones that you'd strap to the handguard. We had
a sandbag that I kept calling the octopus, or the platypus, or the otter.
Yeah, I think it's officially called an udder bag by
otter bag.
An udder bag.
Oh, udder.
Yeah, like a cow.
I thought you said otter. That's why I kept calling it the octopus.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of other sea creatures.
Yeah, but basically it's got four tendrils like a cow's mammary gland. So when you strap it to your rifle, like it's really good for like walls and stuff. Like it'll straddle walls or pipes.
And it's heavy, so it doesn't move.
Yeah. And then I had a couple decent like rear bags. So like we could.
I would have called it like the milk bag or something if I would have known that. I wouldn't have been calling it the octopus the entire weekend.
But yeah, so like we usually had something that would work, even if it wasn't the right thing.
But in my mind, like I just imagine, like no one ever said anything to us, but in my mind I just imagine people thinking like, what the fuck is this guy doing stacking bags?
Oh yeah, because every single one of those guys had a bipod.
Yeah, 100%.
Always bipod. Maybe they'd fold it up and use a bag.
Yeah, but they always had a bipod.
They were always shooting a bipod. Even when I was like, all right, I don't know much, but I know that a bipod's not ideal for that. They would still be shooting off a bipod.
Yeah.
It's like, if we had a bag, like this says bag to me.
Yeah, exactly. And they would still shoot the bipod. But yeah, that part was kind of interesting. So, yeah, I don't know. But we made do with what we had. I think we did pretty good. Like,
we were not last.
Yeah, that's true.
We were 25th out of 27 teams. We were not last.
Is that right?
Yes.
Nice. I think we boned it hard this last day here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did.
Oh, buddy.
Well, I guess. Oh, no, I did pretty bad in the last 2 stages, too.
It's team, man.
Yeah.
Adam did carry the team, though. So the as far as other stuff, like I even balled up my sweatshirt at one point into a rear bag because Adam was using the sandbag, because there was some stuff that we had to do individually and some stuff that we had to do at the same time. And so while we could share gear, sometimes it wasn't always like feasible to share gear.
Yep.
So I think I learned a lot. Like if I were to go do this particular match again, about stuff that I would bring.
Yes.
And one, I would have a better way to carry all my crap.
I would have a
because we had to walk
backpack.
everywhere.
I have the perfect backpack for this at home. Just did not bring it.
Yeah. This was not a work from your truck thing, and
No.
I saw no carts at all. I don't know if you might get your ass kicked for bringing a cart, but
It'll definitely make fun of you.
definitely make fun of you. But we had to carry everything everywhere, and we had to carry it in our hands because of the methods in which we had to house our ammo and our magazine and stuff. Also, gas guns. We shot gas guns.
Yeah.
We only saw like 2 other gas guns
Yes.
in the entire match.
Yep.
Everyone else is a bolt action.
Yeah. Which, I mean, how do you feel about that? Like, next time, would you do a gas gun again, or did you long for a bolt gun while you were watching those guys?
Well, I kind of wanted a bolt gun just because apparently you can point them at each other as long as the bolt's back.
Yeah. Yeah, they take the pipe rule to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. No, I would do a gas gun again. One thing I would bring, though, in the repertoire is I would throw in a 10-round mag because there were times where, especially with that bag and not having a bipod, I couldn't get low enough to not touch the mag.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where, like, I was like, when in Rome, kind of like, man, I'm the only gas gun guy. We're the guys who are always asking, hey, if it's a gas gun, can we just turn the safety on? Because every stage description, every time you're going to move, it's always bolt open and move to this position.
Yeah.
Bolt open, move to this position. And their ROs are a little bit different every time. So we're like, hey, remember us? Yeah, is it okay?
Well, and the first couple of days we were phrased in the form of a question, like, how do we move if we? Because I didn't want one RO to be one way and one RO to be another way.
Oh yes.
So it's like, how do we move? And the answer was always safe on. So I don't understand why they wouldn't let the other guys run with their safe on.
I don't know either. I've heard from other guys that they make you turn the safety on just to kind of like level the playing field with the bolt gun guys, because. Well, and also, like, typically...
No, I mean when moving. Like, how come they had to put the bolt back and instead of just putting the safety on?
I think that's standard etiquette, kind of like having your action open in sporting clays. I think that's just the etiquette that they've arrived at.
Okay.
And so that's the standard practice, and then they've had to accommodate the gas guns
right
with the safety on.
But we did pretty good with... So, I think there was one time I caught myself moving without my safety on. And sometimes we had to do bounding things where we had to move around each other.
Yep.
And it wasn't any big deal for me to not point my gun at your back as I was moving around.
Oh, yeah. And the time was very generous. So it was never like, you were never really in a hurry. We were always about 50% faster than we should have been.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of like, well, you guys tore that up. and they meant like, you went way too fast.
Yeah. Where I'm like looking through the scope, I'm looking at the target, I got the hold, and I'm like, well, I'm here, I'm ready. And I send it,
Right. And then once you miss, you realize, oh, I guess I wasn't ready.
Oh yeah, that was.
That's the other weird thing is like
that went way better in my head.
Yeah. That's the other weird thing is like because it is a sniper match, as Tom Berger says, one shot, one kill. There were no makeup shots.
One try, no cry.
Yeah, although Amax did try to make up shot several things on one of the final stages.
Oh, yeah. I was under the impression we were to engage multiple targets from each position.
I swear to God, I heard
one target from one
three
position.
shots, and he didn't tell you to stop until the third shot.
Yeah, he's like, hey, dude, like one target.
Hi,
I'm
man.
Like, oh, that's my bad.
And so there was all men there, right?
Yep.
And they were all officers or law enforcement.
Yep.
And the amount of F-bombs I heard over one weekend, it seriously was like the or and it just like made me laugh of like this is the culture of like good old boys just hanging out, doing fun things kind of stuff,
Yep. Everybody had to dip in except me.
Yep. And there was training component to it as well. Like the second day, there was like a mover clinic, there was a practice clinic, and then because of that and the competition, like these guys actually got certificates for completion of training.
Oh yeah. Yep. This
32
all
hours of
happened
training.
a Monday through a Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
So you can tell it's a professional thing when that's the norm. The other thing I thought was interesting too, and I think 3Gun could maybe pick up something from this, is like that morning session, like they designated it for vendors, so they were highlighting the sponsors at different stations that they would rotate around to. Some of it live fire, some of it not, and then they had those clinics, so like the mover clinic. Now I've shot movers before. For some of my internal training, so I was kind of like, no, I'm good. So I'll stay over here at the booth.
So I shot the mover at Vortex Optics just on paper, but I just took whacks at it. I didn't understand the theory.
Yep.
And so I was really excited to get to go over there and try it out.
Right. And I definitely wanted you to try it, but like they're getting me to go over there, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll stay over here. I was like, well, I'm here professionally, so I should really be engaging customers. So I elected not to do it, but I'm picking up on what they were putting down now. Later that afternoon, the stages involved movers.
Yes.
So
and then the part that I elected not to do was the practice session, and then turns out the practice session was on all the obstacles that we were going to do in the later part of the day.
Right.
Which, whoops, I could have used that help.
Yeah. So you had jam session time on all the tricky stuff.
Yeah, and setting up positions and everything. And now that hindsight being 2020, I wish I would have done that. But
right,
all that was for me to say that the dude that taught the mover class, he used an F-bomb, like a capitalization and a period to every sentence he said. And he was from the Marine Corps, and so he was ripping on all the dudes in the Army, and he was dryly and slyly telling some of the funniest jokes I've ever heard in between all of the really important, juicy data that I was then going to lie down in the prone position and use on those movers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had like amazing delivery, and it was the dude that was the RO on that stage that told you, hey man, you're only supposed to shoot once.
It took me a minute to recognize that guy, but I've actually seen that guy a lot on Trigger Time TV.
I swear I have too. Like he looks familiar.
He's one of the guys from Ronin Combat Strategies.
Oh, okay.
I believe his name is. He's not J-Bone or what. He's
Redding.
I think his name is Jason or something.
That could be. So his so he said that he had I think 8 years in the Marine Corps and then 15 years as a Mississippi sniper, SWAT sniper. I don't remember what county he said, but so huge amount of experience, and he taught. So for folks listening at home, write this down. At 150 yards, it is a 1 mil hold in front of a 3 mile per hour mover, which is the average walking pace. At 300 yards, it is 1.2, and at 500 yards, it is 1.4.
Scientific fact.
Scientific fact. He said you can argue all you want. It's been proven. And then he said, now, who here's from Mississippi? And then like a couple guys raise their hand. He says, no, who's here from Alabama? That's what it was. Who here's from Alabama? A couple guys raise their hand. He says, now for you guys, it's going to be bigger than 1.0 because it takes you longer to process things. And so he was telling them, he's like, if you're stupid, it's going to take you a lot longer, so you may want to lead 1.2, 1.3. And basically the point he was making was your reaction time, but he made it in like a hilariously insulting way to a couple of the Alabama participants.
I feel like I'm on the other end of that. Like I got to take a couple tenths off just because I'm going to jerk it early.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I found that for me, like I had to add a little bit of time as well, just because like I was trying to line my horizontal thing up and I was all nervous and stuff like that.
Sure.
But then you were telling me about lock time on the AR-15s and how they're slower to shoot than a bolt gun.
Oh, yeah.
And that might actually have something to do with it as well, or at least if it did, it would make me feel better.
Yeah, because when I was starting to shoot test groups at Vortex for customer stuff, the rifles we were given were bolt guns, or the guns that we had in rotation were bolt guns, and then kind of had my training wheels taken off, and I went out and did it on my own. And so to do that, I figured, well, I shoot 3-gun, I'm going to shoot all this stuff. I might as well shoot an AR pattern rifle because that's what I need practice on, And my groups weren't as good. So I was talking with my buddy Ryan about it. He's like, yeah, dude, the lock time on an AR is way slower than a bolt gun. So he's like, that's not unusual that you would experience that. So the time it takes between when you break the shot and when the hammer actually lights the primer is a little bit longer. And when we're talking, fractions of inches, it all adds up.
Yeah. Pretty interesting to see the sheer number of different types of guns that are issued to people. Like there was even a dude that was shooting a Desert Tech bullpup with a 16-inch barrel, but it looked like it was like a 4-inch barrel. And that was a bolt gun, and that was in 6.5. But I would say that of the brass that I picked up, at least 95% of it was 308.
Oh, yeah.
This is basically a 308 demonstration.
Yeah, because all of these guns are department issued rifles for these guys. This is turnout gear.
Right.
So, and I would say 308 is still got a healthy life ahead of it in those circles, because even if they wanted to rotate out, it's still going to take years for that money to become available and for them to rotate out the rifles. But I think there's still a big following behind the 308 for the knockdown power it has when it goes through barriers and things like that. Because most of the time, when these guys are going to shoot somebody, generally speaking, there's a pretty good chance it's going to have to go through glass first,
right,
and then get approximately 12 to 14 inches of penetration is what they say in the.
Well, and so that was something that you brought with from a class you took or a demonstration.
Yep.
And then we confirmed with the guys we were shooting with.
Yep.
Like typically you're going to shoot through glass. Yes. Typically you're going to shoot through, I don't know. There's all kinds of interesting things that we learned along the way.
Yep.
But I think when you talk about 308. It also has just like decades and decades of data behind it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Whereas 6.5 is the, even though it's been around for over a decade, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still the new darling.
Yeah.
And law enforcement is slow to move in that direction.
Right.
So, but that said, I enjoyed shooting it. That was fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was cool. I would like to have a suppressor. I did get a lot of man, your shit's loud.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah. Even though only maybe 30% of the guys on our squad had cans.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately, I had the most obnoxious brakes possible.
Yeah, you had a 3-port brake on a 308, so that's obnoxious no matter how you slice it, especially when you have to shoot through loopholes and confined spaces and stuff. Like we had to shoot a lot out of shipping containers and
and I tried to get my muzzle through everything that I was shooting.
Yeah, let me do it.
Or if we were shooting a loophole, which is you're shooting through like a window or literally a hole, some distance away from your muzzle, I would tend to let Adam do that one so I wouldn't be blasted. And then in the concrete culverts, I tried not to shoot through those. There was one I had to, but I tried not to shoot through those just because I knew I was going to get blasted. And the one that I did shoot through, I made it my last shot, and I crawled all the way through, and I thought I got my muzzle all the way through the thing with just my body in the culvert because we had plenty of time. Mm-hmm. And then when I pulled that trigger, my nose immediately started running. I was like, oh, no, I did not get that all the way through, but luckily I was double plugged. I double plugged almost the entire time.
Yeah. If I was going to have to be close to you, I definitely double plugged.
Yeah.
Sometimes if we were spread apart, I wouldn't, or sometimes I forgot, and I only had my one layer of hearing protection in.
Yeah, we were going fast on on the I think it was on the mover.
Mm-hmm.
We were going fast on that. It was just like, green shirt, you do 3 rounds. Red shirt, you do this many rounds, and on down the line just again and again.
Mm-hmm.
And the poor dude next to me was like, man, that thing is raucous. I was like, yeah, I look to my right and left when I lie down on a line. I suggest you do the same. I felt bad. I mean,
Yeah.
but what are you going to do?
I always find it interesting how like gun people, they like to make loud noises, blow stuff up, and whatnot. But all of a sudden, when they're muzzle brake, they're like, "Oh my God, it's too loud."
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of hypocritical.
I really like my hearing.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that you shouldn't take precautions. It's just always find it interesting that like where the line is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember when I worked at Lockheed Martin and we had a range out there. I was out there shooting with my buddy who was sighting in his elk rifle. It was a 30-06.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I was like, I'll just go get some practice on my AR. So I was shooting steel out to 300 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was done shooting a mag or something, I get up and his dad's like, "Oh man, that thing is so loud." And then kablam! Seth rolls off a round on his 30-06. Doesn't even blink. Like, really, you don't think that 30-06 with no muzzle device whatsoever is...
That's why. I find it amusing some of the imagery people use for describing muzzle brakes. They're like, it's like getting punched in the face, blah, blah. And it's to me, I always think of that reporter who shot the AR-15 and then, like, feigned, like, PTSD and, like, he broke his shoulder. And when I was like, really? Like, punched in the face? Like, I've been punched in the face recently, and it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's...
How about I punch you in the face?
Yeah, like...
And you tell me, was that the same as my 3-port break?
Yeah, I think we need some comparison here. But anyway.
Yeah.
Lots of suppressors, though.
So there was a ton of stages in this thing. Like, we did, 8 stages a day.
Yep.
And they were very short stages. Some of them were very short stages. The longest stage that we did was a 5-minute par time. And you and I smoked that one.
Yes.
We did really well. I think we missed 1 shot. No, we missed 2 shots.
Mm-hmm.
And one of mine was the thread the needle thing. I think I skipped it off the ground because I didn't have a bipod or a great position.
Yeah.
And everything I brought with me, I had stacked already.
Mm-hmm.
Should have put my hand in there. I didn't even think of that.
There you go.
But yeah, that was one where we had to walk up a hill and shoot out. That was only 300 yards though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was 300-yard full-size dipstick. You had to walk up a hill, shoot from these concrete blocks that look like Legos.
Yes.
And then you had to walk down the hill and then shoot from. What was down there? What was the first one that we shot from?
The first one, the pipes.
Yep.
There was a concrete pipe.
Yep, concrete pipes, and then we went to.
Then there was a barricade, like a VTAC-ish barricade.
Yep, we shot from the VTAC-ish barricade that was symmetric on both sides, there was a lot of symmetry stuff, and that worked out well for us because one of us is left-handed and one of us is right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Then from there we went over to the plastic jersey barriers.
Yep.
Which was cool.
Yep.
And then we went back.
Had to shoot through pipes lengthwise.
There we go. Shot through the pipes. That was the thread the needle thing. We weren't allowed to go into the pipes.
Yep. And then there was a loophole shot and one where you could just bag up on top of a bunker.
And I found that, that whole thing of if you can go prone, go prone.
Mm-hmm.
These guys will always go prone. Whether it's they got 1 foot on the ground and they're half prone, mm-hmm. or they're straddling something prone,
mm-hmm.
any kind of lying down, they will do it. And I thought that was pretty interesting and probably a good takeaway from that.
I think it was interesting, but I also think it's kind of a default trap. I don't think that exists. If you can go prone, but we had one stage where you had to get into 4 positions. Or you had to get into six positions during the stage, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, go prone. Oh yeah, go prone." It's well, you got to go prone and get up and go prone and get up and go prone in 3 minutes. So, like, that was a lot of time. And I just pictured, like, man, your heart rate's just going to go up.
Well, I was thinking
You know?
for some of those, like the guys were going prone for a 250-yard shot, and like I had backed my scope down as far as it would go to 3 power,
Right.
and I would have shot that on 1x if I could have.
Yeah, like a 250-yard shot on a full IPSC, like that's not – I don't need to go prone on that if I don't have to.
Yeah.
I kind of picture that as like in USPSA sometimes where like the target is available from the back, but there's a fault line that's like 10 yards away from it, and people will run up to it to shoot it when it's not a challenging shot at all if they would have saved themselves all that running from the back. That's kind of how I saw some of that prone stuff was like, well, a lot of times you want to go prone if you can, but like.
But there were definitely
always.
times. So I agree with you completely, but there were definitely times where I did not go prone, and I tried to, reverse kneel it or lean into it and tripod, like use my 2 legs as 2 legs of the tripod and my rifle as the other. That I definitely jacked it up.
Oh yeah, or where it's like, well, it's like, well, I can't go prone here. And then some guy would like slinky his way into something and be like, oh, well, I guess you can go prone there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you can't go prone here because, it's 4 foot off the ground and it's odd shaped.
And guy like throws his backpack on it and then, straps a puff pillow under his arm and it's like, oh, well, I guess you can.
Yeah. Guess turns out you can go prone in all cases.
Touché, sir.
Well played. Well played. So, man, I really enjoyed this match. It was fun. I learned a ton. I was completely unprepared, and I was completely humbled in the correct sense of the word.
Yes.
Not the when you feel gratitude. Like, I'm humbled that 200 people came out to my match. No, you're grateful. That's gratitude. This was humbled in the correct sense. Like, I felt like a small little insignificant turd the first day, parts of the second day, and all of the third day.
Yeah. Like, the long-range stuff doesn't really I don't know if interest is the right word, but, like, long-range just doesn't really do it for me. But what makes it cool is the props and the positions, the interaction with the different stuff to make the shot. Even if it was a 300-yard shot, it was the position the creative position that you could be in to make that shot, or that you had to be in. You had to interact with this thing in some way and make the shot. So I kind of like that trick shooting aspect of it.
Yes, and that's one thing that you and I were talking about is like there was nothing really interesting about the targets we were shooting.
Nope.
They were all just static steel. They weren't even flashers. I don't think any one of them had a magneto speed.
Nope.
And that other than the movers, right? Those were interesting.
Yeah.
But it was all the positions that we were required to do that was interesting.
Yeah.
That part was interesting.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
And we remarked that it would be very simple to set up a long range match because like there was like one target used from 18 different positions repeatedly. And there's so much steel that was out there on the range that we didn't even use. But I didn't feel gypped. I didn't feel like, oh, I didn't get enough. And the other thing that you said after like the first set of 3 stages were done, we went to the second area. I said, like, I'm having fun. And you said, I can see why old guys would like this. Because the pace is just completely different. It's like you relax. You don't have to do any resetting whatsoever.
No.
You just kind of sit there and chill.
You're standing around
until it's your time to go. And then you walk over to the thing that you're going to shoot from, on, or through and do it.
Yep.
You don't even have to run.
No sense of urgency.
No sense of, well, yeah. All the urgency that you can get done in 3 minutes,
Yeah.
And I mean, there was no real time component. We timed out on one thing, right?
Yeah.
And it was that it was the last day. And that was a bunch of positional stuff. And there was one shot we didn't get to take, right? So other than that, it was fine. We smoked it on there was one stage that had pistol shooting. We smoked it on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. For me, the shooting long range is interesting. I guess like lying prone and shooting really far like only does so much for me.
Mm-hmm.
But having this organized thing of like another problem you have to solve, and like these are the tools you have to do it, I think is kind of cool. So,
yep. Like I said, I mean, I think anything at this match, certainly like anything inside of 500 yards, we would consider close range.
yeah,
Like those are all shots that we do all the time. And then like we're usually in 3-gun match. We talk about 200 plus. So here I'm almost thinking like plus or minus 500.
that's what I would think. Yeah.
Once you go beyond 500 yards, it's like, okay, yeah, that's a long shot. I don't do that very often. I don't know how often LE guys are even going to get the go-ahead to do that kind of shot. But it was challenging. But, like, at the same time, like, I thought it was more interesting or challenging or when it was a 300-yard shot, but it was a 300-yard hostage shot,
Yeah.
Off an improvised position.
Yeah.
Those were kind of like, all right, this is pretty cool. Like they made it kind of tricky.
Like, oh yeah, we're gonna be shooting through this window here, or we're gonna be shooting over the hood of this car, or we got to shoot off the hood in the trunk of a squad car. Like, yeah, that's pretty realistic for what these guys are gonna have to deal with.
Well, and it's kind of an analogy I heard a long time ago when I was much younger, but it was in reference to a fighter pilot, and they're like, well, how do you put in perspective landing on the deck of a carrier? And they're like, well, put a postage stamp in the middle of your living room and then turn the lights off and dive on it. Or you ask pro golfers, how do you get good at putting? Well, you putt at a dime, and then that 2-inch cup seems huge. Like, I kind of picture this as that. Like, all these shots are way harder and probably way farther than these guys would ever take in real life because most police sharpshooting happens inside 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But the shot they're going to have to take is it's a 1-inch circle.
Yeah.
They're trying to dome a guy who is holding a hostage. So it's like, well, would you take a hostage shot at 500 yards? Probably not. But if you're comfortable taking a hostage shot at 500 yards,
right,
that 100-yard shot for real seems like a chip shot.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's why this qualifies for ongoing training.
Yes.
Right? 32 hours of ongoing training.
Yep. Pro tip: if you're going to take hostages in San Diego, I'm not betting on you to come out of that.
Yeah, right.
The San Diego team got your number.
Yeah, there was like 1st, 4th, and like 11th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy smoked it.
Don't take hostages in San Diego.
Right. Just keep her moving.
I
wonder if they have like a specialized training program because of the military bases they have there. Like, why San Diego?
I don't know. I'm guessing from my light exposure to it, I'm think it kind of depends on like the administration for that department.
Oh,
so you got
if you get they apply their budget.
Yeah, if you get a chief who's like, yeah, I'm into it, or they have a good like I forget what the term, but like a police association or whatever,
right,
that gets the donations. So like if they have good funds and they have a chief or an admin that politically leans that way, it's like, they can get a lot of resources and they can get some pretty good training, but it also goes completely the opposite direction too.
Right.
Where guys have
or they don't even want to admit that they have a SWAT team, so they call it something else.
Yeah.
And then they give the guys hunting rifles and very little training ammunition.
Yeah. Yep. It's a Vietnam era, Remington 700 with a fixed power scope or something like that, So it goes the other way too, but I think they're just our departments that are lucky enough to have budget and admin who see the value in these kind of guys, and it's really good to see because for those communities that really gives them a lot of capabilities to serve their communities and address these problems when they come up. Because some of these guys, like I was telling you too, like when I was growing up and talking to the DARE officer or whatever, and they go through, oh yeah, most of us we don't ever like, no, we don't we don't really guns shootouts. That's not really a big part of police business. But you get into some of these circles, some of these cities that have full-time SWAT teams, like it's a full-time job serving warrants.
Well, and even talking to the guy today that after the match that was asking about binoculars and stuff, was writing all that stuff down.
Yeah.
Like his unit got called out while he was at training.
Yeah.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm kind of surprised that, like you would think it makes the news every time it happens for how big of a deal it is, but there's some of these guys they're doing this kind of stuff on the regular because that they're the goings on of that community call for it to keep the peace. So
Yeah, it's interesting.
and the awards at the end was pretty.
Oh yeah. Okay, so here's another departure from Three Gun.
Yes.
So there were several prizes that were donated by CZ, by Deep South Tactical, Deep South Rifles, Deep South Tactical,
I believe it's Deep South Tactical.
Deep South Tactical, by Mission First, and Vortex, of course, Vortex Optics, and several other companies. They put, and while there was numerous prizes, they put them in 10 clumps, and the top 10 of the match took a clump, right? And they said, number 9, this is your prize package. Number 8, this is your prize package. Number 7, and on and on and on until the first place, right?
Yep.
And everyone clapped for those people. You didn't hear any snarky, shitty comments. Not saying they didn't happen, but you didn't hear any from people like, oh, well, they always win, and that kind of thing.
No stickers and gun oil jokes.
No one complained about getting stickers and gun oil. They were grateful for it.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that, Three Gun community? They were grateful for it. Unfortunately, the people that need to hear that probably aren't listening. But
yeah, well.
So yeah, it was cool, and lots of dudes came up and shook our hands. We gave out a lot of baseball caps.
Oh yeah.
Lots of Vortex Nation fans out there.
Oh yeah, even
that
teams
was cool.
that weren't using Vortex stuff on their call out rifles. A lot of them came up and said, my rifle at home or my personal rifle, I have this, that, or the other thing.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, you might have to use something at work just because that's what they bought you, but then when you go and spend your personal dollars, you have a Viper 1-6, something like that. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, but they were all, they're all very genuine people. And I find that of the law enforcement, the tactical law enforcement community in general, they're all.
Now I remember what I was going to say.
They're
sorry.
They're all people that I can get along with.
Yeah.
They're all just genuine dudes. They're interested in. We're of course interfacing with the gun guys for their department.
That's what I was going to mention. Is a minute ago when I went brain dead, and I was like, "There's one more thing we're going to talk about." There was that that all the you shoot better than cops, and be careful. When you're around cops on the range because you're going to get shot and they're going to point their gun at you and stuff.
Oh yeah.
While that is true, they had the bolt back, but I would also say that
no Barney Fife here.
No Barney Fife here. Like these were the guys that when they were moving, finger was off the trigger. When we did the little 2-gun stage, when they had to move with the pistol, finger was off the trigger on that CZ. They flicked it on safe, flicked it off safe. Like these dudes are the higher echelon of law enforcement, and they had very good tactics, super safe, super sound, and there was never like really a time where I felt unsafe like I have at some other events I've been to.
Yeah, when you dial the digits, these guys are the guys you're hoping show up.
Yeah.
These guys were all top shelf dudes.
Right.
Very very competent in their skill sets, very professional, and
willing to help.
Yeah, they're just good dudes. Good dudes, and they got a tough job, so it's good to see that they have skills and training that help them handle the stuff that nobody else wants to deal with sometimes. So
yeah. So our thin veil of politeness can remain on this society, and we can go about drinking our Bud Light and watching our football.
Yes.
All right. Well, Adam, I think that's a pretty good breakdown of the event that we went to.
Yeah, that was our first wide-eyed experience into the world of long-range precision.
I tell you what, I want to shoot some more long range, and I want to not suck at it, and I want to come back here next year and not suck better.
All right. So what are we thinking for next year? We're going to be top half?
Yeah, man, top half. That's always that was my first goal in 3-gun, was like I just want to get in the top half.
Yep.
And this reminded me of it as well, where I went out there and made a lot of noise and then ended up really low on the standings, So,
Yep. We accomplished our goal of not being last, and
Yep.
so now we got to go for top half.
yep, there are at least 2 sniper teams in the nation that are worse than us.
You said it, not me. And we 3-gun.
And we 3-gun. Yeah, that was the constant joke this weekend is between us. I think we were a little sleep deprived, but
I know we're sleep deprived.
oh yeah. So how about travel? Anything you do different next time?
It was tough. It was 2 events. Well, I committed to the one, and then it was another event that I really wanted to do because I missed Texas 3-gun last year. It was a choice that I made. It was an either-or choice that I made, and I felt like I chose poorly, or I had buyer's remorse on my choice. So I really wanted to go to Texas this year. It just so happened they stacked up. Logistically, I could make it work, but just barely. But it was a long trip. It was pretty intense. I don't know if we'll do it exactly this way in the future. I hope both events are maybe spread apart.
Yeah,
by at least
by
1 week
one
for
day
yeah.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
So when we were checking in the hotel and we were riding up in the elevator, it was quiet, and I said, "No. What was your thing that you said?"
I don't know what you're talking
Longest leg of the trip.
Yeah, that was definitely the longest leg of the trip.
Yeah, and my response was, "This is going to be one of those things that we remember and we tell as a story years and years from now."
Yeah, it was because, we had 10 hours to go. We couldn't start until we were done with the prize table at Texas, and not a ding on them, but those things always run long.
I don't think this one ran long, though.
It didn't.
This
it didn't,
was
but,
super efficient, but we were concerned about it.
Yeah, when you got somewhere to be, it can't happen fast enough.
Yeah.
We made it work, but
Is that a turkey crossing the road?
It is.
He only flew across half of it. Silly goose. Silly turkey.
But we made it work. I don't know if we're going to do it this way again. We're actually pretty confident we won't.
Yeah.
But it did work.
I'd love to do this match next year, though, if we can, because it was a ton of fun. I learned a lot, and I think the shooters that were there, the people in attendance, were completely different than the people that I normally hang out with, and I thought that was a good, refreshing kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, thumbs up, would do again, and North American Sniper Championship. That was awesome. Thank you for having us. It was great. It was
absolutely.
fantastic.
Thanks for having us out, and
thank you for guilting us into shooting.
Yeah. Yep. Peer pressure. I caved this time.
Yep. And probably next time.
And the time after that.
All right, Adam. Any final thoughts before we head out of here?
Still 3-gun guy. Not going over to the dark side.
Still 3-gun guy, but I encourage the listeners to try something new.
But I dabble. I'll dabble.
Yeah. You USPSA too.
I'm gonna work on my dope card a little bit more, I think.
Yep. So try something new, and then when you do, let us know about it. And as always, thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.